Hey guys, hi, I'm Jitendra here. So today I'm with the founder of Earnest App, right?
Yeah, Earnest
so
Associates.
Ernest, yeah. So he's going to share his journey that how did he get started into ecom right now. So Ernest, can you just give a brief intro about yourself to my audience, man?
Yeah, pretty much like my initiation into ecom was, what made me aggressively go after it was I got laid off, well, not really laid off, I got fired, right, from a company that I was working for. And I was a corporate executive, and things were going great there, and they fired me, because they were just making some company changes, right? They were going a different direction. Hopefully, no one's ever experienced that, but it was a very traumatic experience in my life at that time. And I had two kids, one on the way, and shortly after that, I got really depressed, and I knew I needed to do something different, and that going the corporate route wasn't going to work for me long term. And so, like most people, I started going to the Google of research and like how to make money on the
Online.
internet,
It
and
happened with everyone.
came across ecom, right? And when I started, I remember like it was yesterday. It was September 2nd, 2015, and I gave myself a 30-day promise and said, you know what, like for 30 days, let me just commit to this business model and give it everything I got and work it as if I was working my full-time job. So I go to work and everything outside of that was all be ecom related, and just put in the work for 30 days. And, it didn't even really take me 30 days to actually start seeing the fruits of that labor. It took 22 days, and, sales and stuff started coming in. So, yeah.
So Ernest, did you ever feel at some point of your life that hey, I really want to give this up? I want to get into this job. Did you feel like that at some point of your life?
The thing is, so when I got into ecom prior to that, like
Yeah.
I honestly thought like I was going to be the CEO of the company I was working for. So
Oh
like,
wow.
yeah, like I was going all in for that company. I mean, all in to the point to where I would like when my first two kids were being born, I was in the hospital on conference calls. I mean, like that's how committed I was to the company that I was working for. So, when I got fired from there, that's why I got depressed because like I'm like, man, if I got to let go from this company, like like how much value do I really have? Like, and I shouldn't have been thinking that way, but like it just really messed me up from a mental perspective. And that's why, like, when I decided to get another job, I knew I had to aggressively start doing something else for my family because I knew I couldn't place my future in the hands of someone else.
Okay, Ernest. How big is your team? Who's handling your ecom business? How big is your team?
Yeah, so I'm handling the ecom business, but as far as team wise, I got 15 people that work for me.
15 people. Okay.
Yep.
So, Ernest, you have been doing Google AdWords for ecom business. So, can you share your best strategies for AdWords, please?
Yeah, so the funny thing is, like with Google AdWords, most people don't realize there's a shopping network like within AdWords,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it's there.
And so the shopping network specifically is where your physical products will get displayed, like when you search for something. So like the example I like to use often is like an electric fireplace, right? So if you put that into Google or any physical product by that nature, it could be horse saddle, it could be leather couches. If a company is leveraging the shopping network,
Yeah.
the products that get displayed is what actually pops up on Google, right? And so, running my campaign specifically on that network on Google was been like the game changer for my business ever since I got started years ago. And it's been somewhere where I've been advertising that not a lot of people have been utilizing. I've been talking about it for a while. A lot of people still aren't using it. Thank you for not, but I
Okay.
am crushing it.
So you focus on US market. Why? Why you're not focusing on Asian market? Because Asian market is pretty huge market, right?
Yep.
So why you want to focus on US? Because it's pretty much expensive, right? CPC is very high.
Yeah, so like with the U.S. market in general, like where I run my campaigns at, is just that in terms of like, for starters, my suppliers in the U.S. right. So we look at like fulfillment times and like people getting the product, things of that nature is very manageable. And then also when you look at like in terms of like customer acquisition, like a lot of people in the U.S. are comfortable with doing transactions like of thousands of dollars just using their mobile phone. Like you can get someone that purchases from you with $1,100, $1,200, $3,000 transaction that they'll do that on their cell phone. Which personally I don't know about the data from that.
$3,000.
Yeah.
Wow, it's huge, man. It's super huge.
Yep. So I'm not sure in terms of like transactional wise how comfortable people are in other markets with doing stuff like that, but specifically like there's so much like opportunity in terms of like just from the consumer side with people just being more and more comfortable
More and more comfortable.
spending money like on their device, like no matter what the device is, tablet, phone, laptop, desktop, things of that nature.
Okay, what are your favorite ad spy tool for
Ad
your
spy
ecom?
tool?
Yeah.
That's a good question. I got quite a few.
That's a very difficult. Now we're competitive.
Yeah. So there's a really cool tool because I'm a Shopify guy. So like
Yes,
there's a
I know.
tool called Commerce Inspector.
Commerce inspector.
Yeah, you guys are probably familiar with that. Hopefully
Yeah.
you are. If not, now you know. Commerce Inspector. I like Spy Fu. To just
Spy
kind
Fu,
of
yes.
get
It's good.
an idea of like what people are doing from an ad perspective, and SimilarWeb. Like using that, just to see how my competitors are ranking, and specifically like where they're driving a lot of their traffic from. So is it social, email, direct? Is it paid? And where they're getting a lot of their customers and stuff from, and things of that nature. So yeah, those are
So
my
do you use
favorite
Google
components.
Trends?
I use Google Trends, but that's not necessarily like a spyware tool, right?
Okay.
Google Trends is more so something I use in terms of like researching a market that I'm looking to go into.
Okay.
So like if there's a niche market that I'm researching on, I'm using Google Trends to see like number one, what has the past performance of that market been? Because again, we all know like history repeats itself, right? So past performance is an indicator of future performance, right? And I just kind of know that from like my marketing background, just overall from what I did on the corporate side. So knowing that was a lot of what I did, kind of picking good products and niches to go into on the front end, so I didn't have to guess long term on the back end if like what I wanted to do was going to create results of that.
Okay, what's your favorite payment gateway and how do you deal with refunds?
Ooh.
Now that's a very critical question, I know. So now,
No, that's a great question because
Yeah.
I have a 100% win rate with chargebacks on PayPal. Like I've won 100% of chargebacks on PayPal.
Shit, what's your strategy here? Please share your secrets, please. Now the secret should be out.
Yeah, I actually have a master class that I have like in my program that
Okay.
teaches people how to do that. But really, like the main thing is like making sure that you're compliant with the gateway. So like even with Stripe, like I have a really high win rate. Mine is more like 70%. The only challenge you'll have is like with
PayPal.
American Express. Because like American Express thinks they have the best customers in the world, so yeah, they take a little bit more work to win, but like essentially like the main thing is like number one, making sure that you're compliant with like the actual payment processes, right? So making sure that your policies are very clear, making sure that they're easily visible on your website. Like if your product's going to take 20 days to get to the customer, don't hide the fact about that. Put that on the landing page, make it easy for them to get to. Make sure you have a very clear direct returns policy. Post-purchase, like making sure that information is being rendered correctly, making sure that you're giving people timely details, making sure you're documenting the entire process. And so like every time, like if there is a dispute that I have to send in, like my VAs, like we document everything. Like if they've ever had to talk to the customer, what's going on with the order, like they literally go in and document that, so we have all the details. So if there is something that pops up, we can submit that to the actual the payment gateways. And again, that's how we have that high success rate. And specifically with PayPal, most people think PayPal is like a bad processor, right?
Yeah, because everyone asks me these kind of questions, man. PayPal.
Yeah, so PayPal, the thing is that they're not bad. The thing is that there's a lot of other bad people out there, so it makes them be a lot more, aggressive, right, with the people that even are doing the right thing. So again, documentation is key. And then the other part too is most people don't realize that you are eligible for PayPal seller protection, especially when you're selling physical products. The number one way to be compliant in terms of winning chargebacks if something comes up is that when you actually get an order, now on the back end of Shopify, they'll actually give you this information, but if you go in to the actual order in and of itself, they will actually tell you in PayPal if the address that you're shipping to is confirmed. If it is, that means that you have to ship to that address. If they have a different ship to address, you cannot ship the product to that address. So make sure that you ship to the confirmed address and that address, not another address.
Wow.
Yeah.
One last question. What are your favorite Shopify themes and apps you're using for your e-com store?
Yeah, so favorite apps, the number one is the Shoptimize theme. And the reason why I say that is because it has so much stuff
Shoptimize.
integrated in there. Yeah, Shoptimize. Yeah, the creator is Bradley Long. So they have a lot of features integrated. Like they got flames that you can put on the product page. Now I don't recommend using the flames, especially if you're selling high ticket. If you're selling low ticket, like it could be cool. But long story short, they have a lot of stuff that's integrated in there that you don't have to go and get a lot of third-party apps to install. Like having the banner at the top, like doing promotions, like having where it's geo targeting to where like that country automatically gets displayed in terms of like the product pricing and things of that nature. The other theme I like is the turbo theme because that's mainly built for speed.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's also another really good theme, and the retina theme is also another good one.
Okay, and apps?
Yeah.
Shopify apps?
Shopify apps. The thing is I will tell you, your whole goal is to use the least amount of apps as possible.
Okay.
And the reason why I say that is the least amount that will actually get you results. So like if you're converting at like 2, 3, 5%, like, and there's another feature that you want to integrate, and it has to be an app, I would look at maybe even contacting the developer or figuring out how you can hard code that into the website, because what you don't realize is that in terms of load speed, like,
okay, yeah, that's the load speed, yeah.
exactly. How apps specifically, like when they're integrated into Shopify, when your website has to load, specifically in Shopify, the way it's coded is the apps have to load first and then the data of the store gets loaded. So like, if you got 10, 15, 20, 30 apps, those apps all have to load first before your site gets loaded. And in terms of like site wise, like, and you could do the research on this, but Amazon did a really big case study where they showed that consumers coming to the website, if it was longer than like, I can't remember the exact number, but it was like 3 or 4 seconds, like roughly like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Like they were losing millions of dollars. So your goal is like, you need to have your website load in 6 seconds or less, and like customers have to get to what they need to get to in 6 seconds or less, or you're going to lose their attention on the internet. So you could possibly be leaving thousands or millions of dollars on the table just by having high load speed with not using Shopify apps. But with that being said, a couple apps that I do like is there's an app called Aftership, where it will give your customer the ability to be able to track their order all the way to their doorstep. The same feature like that Amazon has in terms of like seeing where the order is at in terms of getting to their doorstep. And there's also another app called Conversion Plus, which will actually add like a countdown timer on the checkout page, where it'll let people, it'll say like your cart's about to expire, if they don't make a decision in X amount of time. And so I really like that one, because like sometimes I'll get customers that'll call and they'll be like,
scarcity.
yeah, like, oh, my countdown timer's about to expire, can I still place my order? And I'm like, yeah, you can do that.
Sure.
So
Thank you so much, Ernest. You have shared a lot of great tips about e-commerce. And guys, if you're looking for joining his training courses, I will drop the link in the comment section below, so you can have a look at his training courses. Thank you so much, Ernest, for sharing a lot of knowledge on e-com. Thank you so much.
absolutely.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you.
And do subscribe to my YouTube channel for more interviews. Bye-bye.